Well guys, on this one here, well, we got the injectors just sitting in the head. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and anchor them down. We're going to take the little wishbone looking creature, and as you can see, it's got a little, like a little foot, a little catch here in the bottom. That little catch goes on this little slot that's cut into the injector. Basically, you slip this on, make sure it's in, bring it down, and then let the little foot take the injector in. Before you tighten, wiggle the injector, make sure the little foot is in its little crease, or that little, and just take them down. There is a torque setting for these guys. I never go with a torque setting. I always do them by hand. I mean, can't remember. There you go. I believe it called for 26 or 28 pounds or something like that. We just do them by hand. Here's another one. Lift it, pop it in place. You'll feel the little foot just catch, and you can see this one's not catching. There we go. Now it did. Oh, it didn't. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. There's another one, and we just go down the line until we get all 6. I'm going to show you this one because the rest is going to be a little hard to see. So let me get this one down. The rest I'm going to go ahead and just do in a time lapse. But I had recorded the installing of the rocker arm assembly and adjusting the valve lash on the valves, but for some reason, I mean, the video, my phone didn't capture it. I try to use it, but it doesn't play at all. It's just basically just like a picture. I do apologize for the inconvenience, guys, but I will figure out something, dude. I'll post a video on just valve lash later on or something, but I do apologize. Sorry about that one. I'm going to go ahead and continue with the video that I have that does function or does work. So the only part that that's going to be skipped is installing the rocker arm assembly and adjusting the valve lash. I do apologize for that one, guys. Let's go ahead and continue. Well, guys, now that we got the high pressure oil cleaned and positioned on top of the block, I got to get these little seal kit on there. I already did the 3 in back. So on this one, the kit comes with white O-rings, black O-rings, and this larger O-ring, which I'll show you in a bit where this one goes. You take your white, after you remove the little seals, check your pucks, everything's okay. So now we take this little white one, I slip it onto one side and just kind of run my fingers along it, and it pops right into place. Then I take the black one and do the same thing. I mean, it's pretty simple. You just don't want to use any kind of little prick, screwdriver, nothing like that to install these. I'll use my fingers. I don't use my fingernails. I use my fingers. And they're very, very easy, guys. Well, I mean, if you get to this, you'll see that anybody can do this. It's real easy. So we got the seals in place. Now I got to get this larger seal, the one that's left. This one here. There's a spot for it right under this rail on the cylinder head. It's right here. This is where oil actually goes in and feeds that oil rail. Let me get that sucker off, and I'll come back to you guys in a bit. Well, guys, if you locate your little high pressure hose coming from the pump, from the HPOP, this is a high pressure hose, connects to this, and then right behind it on the inside part of the cylinder head, there's a little recess for this O-ring. You just basically just drop it in there. All right, so that's a seal right there. Now, guys, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rotate that high pressure oil rail. Make sure that the pucks land on top of those injectors. They slide into the injector, and then you gently just push that oil rail onto it so that the seals can kind of go into the injector housing before you start adding bolts to it. So this sucker's a little heavy. I mean, I really don't know how much it weighs in pounds. I've never weighed one, but they are heavy, and they're not in the there we go. Now here, all you got to do is make sure that it goes into each injector. Make sure the harnesses for the injectors are free. None of them are caught up under. And there we go. Let me get the bolts for that high pressure rail and get them started. Give me 1 second, guys. The start bolt, I don't tighten it, I just start it. That's going to act like a little guide. I got to get one in front, one in back. I don't tighten it, I just kind of bring it in. And that's going to act as a guide for the rest of them to just kind of fall into place. And let me get the back one real quick. Give me 1 second.
Okay, we use those 2 bolts to kind of bring it into place. So the rest, you can just take them in finger tight with your fingers. I mean, they'll go right in, guys. Those 2, the first 2 that I started with, acted as like little pilots, aligned everything up. So now all the little bolts will go in fairly easy. Got 12 of these, guys. Oh, just for you guys on the injectors, the injector hold down book says 30 foot-pounds. On the rocker arm assembly rail, it says 22 to 24 pounds. Like I said, I mean, I didn't use a torque wrench. I've been doing these, so I just kind of went by feel. But if you guys want to use a torque wrench, well then it's 30 pounds on the hold down and 22 to 24 on the rocker arm assembly rail. All right. Well, guys, the high pressure oil wheel is seated. All we got to do is torque it down. So give me 1 second. Well, guys, again, I'm not going to torque these down. I'm going to go by feel. But if you want to use a torque wrench on these, it's 20 foot-pounds. So the way you torque these down is you start in the center, kind of like if you were doing the cylinder head. You start in the center and then you start going in circles around and just bring them out. My torque wrench doesn't go down to, the least it'll do is 30 psi, 30 foot-pounds, so I can't use that on this one. I don't have a smaller torque wrench at the time, so I might want to invest in one later for future jobs or whatever, but right now I don't have it. So all right, guys, that's done. So let's go ahead and jump to the next step. Well, guys, for the rest, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's just bolting back all the attachments and all the hoses, stuff like that. So I'm not gonna do the video in chew time. I'm gonna go time lapse it and just kind of tell you what I'm doing as we go. So I don't think there's a need for me to take it slow on this one. I mean, the rest is all just basically install the attachments and covers and bolt them back up. So let me go ahead and get that valve cover on there. I'm going to put the gasket valve cover, make all the little connections for the injectors, and cover the sucker up. Well, guys, that engine is taking shape now. I mean, we got all the, well, I call them the important parts covered. So no debris can go in there and mess them up for you. I got the oil, the valve cover gasket installed. I got it connected on the inside. Don't forget to connect that ICP. You have 7 connections, basically 1 for every injector, and then you have a injection control pressure sensor that has to be plugged into that valve cover. So let me go ahead and continue, guys. Let me get those 10mm bolts on top of that cover and tighten them down.
Well guys, I didn't record all this. I mean, it's pretty simple. All I did was install the exhaust manifold. I haven't put the turbo. I am going to show you that one. I haven't installed the EGR cooler. I'm going to show you that. I went ahead and ran the harness around the block and brought the wires, corresponding wires, to this side, alternator, compressor, so on and so forth. Got these two brackets installed for my compressor and my alternator. My thermostat is just sitting in the little crevice. And let me show you the other side. On this side, all I did was basically just run my harnesses and get the injectors connected, so on and so forth. So I've done a little bit, but I mean, it's all just basically bring all the stuff back into place. Let me go ahead and get that EGR cooler and well, show you guys what came in the kit. We got new seals, new gasket, new nuts, stuff like that. Let me show you. Well guys, what we got here is the EGR cooler install kit. These little O-rings go to those 1-inch pipes that actually, get water from the water pump over to the EGR cooler and back and so on and so forth. Well, we got to replace these. It comes with a gasket for the EGR cooler to EGR tube. We have our little seal. It goes on our exhaust to EGR cooler. We got a new clamp that goes to the 1-inch hose coming from behind the block to the EGR cooler. And then of course we got two new little bolts. There we go. So let me go ahead and get ready to install this one, and then I'll show you guys. Well guys, this is the tube that goes from the water pump to the EGR cooler. The old seal is still in this one. I mean, they weren't bad, but we got new ones. Just pop them out of place, insert that new one on both sides, and then we'll get this tube in its proper place. So I'm not going to record me putting the EGR cooler. It's very tight. The space is very tight, so I'm going to go ahead and install it, then I'll show you guys what I did. Well guys, there's an EGR cooler. This is the little tube that we put the O-rings on. One of them goes back here and then goes into the EGR cooler, and there's a little hold down with a bolt. Here we got the hose connected to the EGR cooler right there. We still need that back one. We got this 12 millimeter 12-point little long bolt that goes into the exhaust manifold, already bolted in, and we got the two 8 millimeter 12-point little bolts tightened. So the EGR cooler's in place, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get that turbo. Turbo is basically pretty simple. Turbo flange, nuts on top. Over here's nuts in the bottom. Make sure you get that this oil feed tube. Make sure you replace the O-ring on the turbo, and then you have the drain tube that goes connected to here, and it takes this little bracket bolted to here to hold it in place. Alright, so just make sure this tube goes in, and don't insert the flange, pull the turbo out, put that pipe in, put it back in, lock the tube in place, tighten the turbo, get the feed line and your downpipe. And well, I can't record while I'm doing it. I'll show you afterwards. And again guys, the kit provides you with a new flange, two O-rings for your return, and then it's got the O-ring for your feed line, and then it comes with 4 new nuts for your turbo. So let me go ahead and get that done.
Well, guys, there's a turbo, feed tube, clamp on the downpipe, tight. VGT is connected. That little return line installed, and the bracket is tightened. I left this loose because I still have to get that little freaking cradle. I got the 15mm nuts all tightened up with a new gasket on there. So turbo is installed. Let me go ahead and get the rest of the little stuff here. Compressor, alternator, and that bracket, filter and stuff. Let me go ahead and finish this side. And well, we're a couple of steps closer to finishing this sucker up. So startup should be coming in soon. Well guys, as you guys can see, I got all this side done. Like I said, I mean, there's no use in showing it on video. I mean, it's just installing a compressor, installing an alternator. I mean, if you guys tore this thing apart, then it should be easy for you to get those parts back on there. I didn't want to kill, you know, video time on something like that. But all passenger side is already done. Everything is, even the belt, tensioners, everything. I mean, everything's connected. So now all I got to worry about is the driver's side. Let me show you. Guys, on this side, we got the upper plenum. Connect that high pressure hose. Get that fuel filter housing in place. Just a whole bunch of little stuff. Then of course get the thermostat housing connected to the hose. A whole bunch of little brackets and stuff. Zip tie all that harness onto its little key holders. And shoot, I mean, I'm going to say we got another maybe three and a half hours to go, and we should start cranking the sucker up and see if it's going to start and how it's going to function. So I'm going to go ahead and call it quits for now, guys. I have other things I got to go take care of, so I'm going to stop on this one for today. I'll just come back tomorrow and finish this off and hopefully start this sucker up tomorrow. Alright, well guys, like always, appreciate you guys watching. Like and comment.